Ellen, you want to start us off?
Hi, Matt. Yeah, thank you. This weekend, the death toll in Gaza passed 36,000 Palestinians. There are now 1 million Palestinians displaced by Israeli operations in Rafah and in the north. There hasn't been much at all humanitarian aid that can be delivered within Gaza for the past several weeks. We all saw the pictures, as you said, of this weekend of the civilians on fire in their tents and the child who had their head blown off, if that was an authentic video. And today, numerous witnesses are reporting to news outlets that tanks have moved into the center of Rafah. And today we had an Israeli strike, according to the Gaza health officials, on a tent that killed 21 civilians in an area that was not an evacuation area, with 13 of the civilians as women who were therefore non-combatants. And none of this obviously has crossed the red lines that President Biden has said, or the U.S. has said about improving humanitarian conditions. We're not going into the center of Rafah in a way that harms civilians. Can you tell me why it hasn't crossed those red lines, why the current humanitarian situation is acceptable, and why the situation in Rafah is acceptable?
So let me just speak, because there was a lot in the lead up to that question, let me speak to some of the premises. So first of all, with respect to reports of tanks in central Rafah today, it's not something we have seen or have been able to verify at this point. I've obviously seen those reports. What Israel has said is that they're conducting operations along the Philadelphia corridor and on the outskirts of Rafah, but we will continue to look in that and discuss it with the Israeli government. With respect to this reported strike in the so-called safer area in the Mawasi camp, I know Israel has come out publicly and said they did not conduct such a strike. So again, it's something that we will press them for more information to try to find out what exactly, if anything, happened and where these reports are coming from and what the apparent conflict seems to be. With respect to humanitarian assistance, I do want to speak to some potential improvement that we have seen. So first of all, to your point about humanitarian assistance not getting into Gaza, there has been a great deal of humanitarian assistance that has been flowing. There has been a great deal that has been delivered into the north of Gaza over the past few weeks, something that happened because of the United States intervention and reversed a situation prior to that intervention where almost no aid was getting into northern Gaza. With respect to southern Gaza, it continues to be a real challenge. There are a number of things that have made that a challenge. One being the closing of Rafah Gate, two being obviously the military kinetic operations that are taking place there that make it tough. But that said, we saw a number of commercial trucks going in last week, which are not a replacement for humanitarian assistance, but are important for a number of reasons. And then the president was able to secure an agreement with President El-Sisi on Friday to allow the UN trucks that have been in Egypt to move to Israel, make it to Kerem Shalom, and we're going to continue to work to get that aid delivered into Gaza. So to the point of your question, it is important not just that it make it to Kerem Shalom, but it make it through and be delivered. So we have seen some of that assistance, but it continues to be an ongoing challenge to try to deliver humanitarian assistance in the wake of military operations. So it's something that we're continuing to work through. With respect, having addressed all of those various premises, with respect to the broader question, look, we have made clear what our policy is with respect to Rafah. We do not want to see major military operations take place there in the way that we saw them take place in Khan Yunis and in Gaza City. At this point, we have not seen a military operation on the scale of those previous operations. And if you just look at the number of brigades that were in Gaza City, that were in Khan Yunis, this so far is a different type of military operation. But that said, it's something that we are watching very closely, something that we are in touch with the Israeli government about, and we will continue to press to them the importance of conducting legitimate operations to go after Hamas in a way that minimizes civilian harm.
Yeah, Jake